Please welcome your host, John Coleman.
Hi there. I was asked a question. I work at a firm that wants to use Scrum methodology on infrastructure projects, for example, network projects. This doesn't fit naturally with the approaches used for software development. Any suggestions? So first of all, Agile was originally created really for software. 17 software developers went up a mountain in February 2001, and they came up with the Agile Manifesto, 4 values, and a few weeks later the 12 principles. And it's actually quite easy to translate the Agile Manifesto to non-software by changing the word software to product or product development, and also maybe change the word project to product when you read the Agile Manifesto. I find that works. It has stood the test of time. It could be a bit stronger on the discovery side. It seems to be delivery oriented, but kind of still gets away with it even 21 years later after it was created. A few things I just want to take issue with from the question. Scrum is not a methodology. Scrum is a framework, not a methodology. And Scrum is not designed for projects, it is designed for products. It's designed for product development. And I'm not a big fan of Scrum teams being set up dedicated for particular projects, unless those projects are like multi-year massive things. Because we've got the Tuckman phases, forming, storming, norming, performing, so we know we kind of suck as a team when we start. And there's the J curve we have to deal with as well. Things actually get a little bit worse, maybe a lot worse, when we apply a change, like Scrum, for example. A guy approached me a few years ago and he said, "Oh, John, I think I'm going to use Scrum for these projects." I said, "Well, how long are the projects?" He said, 3 weeks. I said, "No, don't use Scrum." By the time you figure out what a Scrum Master does, what a product owner does, and all that kind of stuff, the project will be over. Just meet every day. But you can use Scrum for projects. What I prefer is that a long-term stable team is fed work, maybe via the product owner. The product owner would connect with stakeholders, including project managers of various projects, and the person from the red project comes along, the blue project, the amber project, the black project, and they all have really important things that they want all their projects to be implemented. But the product owner would say, "Hang on a second, I need to do 80-20 here. I need to get 80% of the value out of 20% of the outputs. I can see, Mr. Red Project Manager, that you've got a really good project there, but I'm only going to take the top slice, because actually the blue project manager, she's got really valuable stuff as well at the top of her backlog that's more valuable than the stuff at the bottom of your backlog, if you like. So I'm going to play around with this. I'm going to break up your Mr. Red Project Manager, going to break up your project into 3 parts, the top bit and then the middle bit, and actually the bottom bit we might never do, because we're doing Scrum here because we're operating one sprint at a time. And let's be honest, when we go to the sprint review, you see what you asked for, what you don't want, and you change your mind, and we have to make changes. And so the new ideas are usually much better than the old ideas. And I much prefer that projects are dealt with that way in Scrum. But Scrum has some limits, and one of the limits is that you need to be, you need to make sure you're delivering an increment every 30 days. So every month you're delivering something. And if you can't deliver something every month, you're going to struggle with Scrum. Now, Tobias Mayer, when I interviewed him, he said something quite smart, which is, everybody can do something in a month. A month is, a long time. It's not so much about whether you can do it or not. It's more about whether people are willing to do it. Are people willing to actually deliver something in 30 days? Are they willing to break things down? At the same time, you don't want to be breaking things down to the extent that each product backlog item in Scrum that goes through the system, it doesn't have value anymore. So you're just managing activities, and you kind of lost the plot then. Okay. So then I would say Kanban comes on the table. But with Kanban, you need a lot of discipline. Are you willing to limit work in progress? Are you willing to focus on finishing items before starting new items? If you're addicted to starting work, you're going to struggle with Kanban, because you're just going to flood the system. All your cycle times, how long things take, are going to go up. Eventually your throughput will go down, and it's just a miserable place, and people will take shortcuts and all that type of stuff. So you can have colors for the different types of work item type on your board. I mean, that's not an issue. And what you could do is, if you've got different work going on, like, I don't know, network, say the network work is blue and server work is yellow, and different types of work, red work is other types of work. You could have a different service level expectation for the different type of work going through that system. There would be nothing wrong with that, because if you were able to look at your history in terms of how long does that yellow work take, how long does that blue work normally take, and how long does that red work normally take, you can have a service level expectation, and but you can only do that if the system is reasonably predictable, where you've basically been in a situation where you have been managing the amount of work that you're starting. You have been trying to, you really have been focusing on trying to finish work. If you think that's something you can do, you can give Kanban a try. You could also use waterfall. If the work is fairly predictable, you know what to do, you get the right experts together, you could use waterfall. That's another approach. But if you're looking for something kind of more agile, Kanban wouldn't be a bad place to check out. You can also try to use Scrum. I used Scrum for infrastructure for a couple of years, quite a while ago, about 10 years ago now, but it did work, and it made a big difference. To give Scrum credit, you limit work in progress by limiting the amount of work in a sprint, and so that in itself is very helpful. Some people really struggle with the idea of limiting the amount of items that they actually do at the same time. So that's my little nugget for you today. You can use Scrum for infrastructure work, but Scrum is not designed for projects. It's not a methodology, it's a framework. What naturally fits will be whatever is natural to you as a team. If you're in a situation where your infrastructure work isn't well known, well, then you might need to go into discovery, and maybe you want to check out one of my episodes on Scrum at Lean UX or Kanban at Lean UX, where we talked about how you might discover if some of these ideas are even worth considering. Okay, thank you. That's my nugget for today.